Hey everyone, welcome. This is Coach Linda, and I am here at a wonderful resort and spa, scoping it out for my next retreat. And I wanted to come on live because earlier I had some sketchy Wi-Fi that didn't really work well, and so I wanted to come on because I wanted you guys to get the message. And today's message is day 25 of 100 Days of Purpose. Can you believe it? We are 25 days in. We're like one quarter of the way. We got, three-fourths of the way to go. But today is day 25. And if you add two and five up, that means seven, which is the number of divine completion, right? And so there has to be something epic that happens today, right? Because it's a day of completion. But what we're going to talk about today is, are you listening? Are you listening to the messages around you? Are you listening to the things that are happening around you? And earlier I spoke on how I have this egotistical friend who has conversations with me. And sometimes when we have a conversation, I have to take a 2 minute pause before I respond. I have to 1,000, 1,000, and then speak. And the reason why I have to do that is not because anything he says has upset me or has caused any kind of raw emotion, but I do it because I want to direct the conversation. And in order to direct the conversation, I have to hear and I have to listen to what's being said and not respond to it or react to it, but take action to it. And so when you are listening to what the world is saying to you, I'm a Christian, so I will talk about God. You may talk about the universe, you may talk about other things, but whatever you attribute your wisdom to that comes to you, um, it's always trying to get a message to you. Mine is God. God is always trying to get a message to me. I can get a message from watching an ant crawl. When I'm going through something, I'll just go and sit and maybe something will catch my eye, like an ant crawling up the wall or crawling on the ground. And you see the struggle and how the ant has to, when it runs into an obstacle, has to find a way to walk around it or go in the opposite direction. And sometimes in that, you get a message. In that, you get something that is spoken to you that gives you an aha moment. It gives you a moment of, okay, now I know what I need to do. But if you're not listening, and hear the word that I'm using listen instead of hear, because we hear a lot of things, right? But we don't necessarily act to what we hear or react to what we hear. But when we listen, it takes a little more effort, it takes a little more concentration, it takes a little more focus. And if we're doing things intentionally and strategically, then listening is our way of doing that. Listening to what is being said, listening to what's being offered. I love the book of Habakkuk because he talks about, I'm going to see what the Lord will say. If you don't have a vision of what it is being said, if you're not listening to what is being said and you can visualize it, you can see it in your mind's eye, you can see it in your heart and in your inner core, then you cannot make a truthful decision on what it is that you want to do, and you'll always be stuck. You'll always be stumped. You'll always figure that you can't accomplish what you're trying to accomplish, but the messages are coming to you to get you from where you are to where you want to be, to get you from where you are right now to where you should be. And so you've got to listen to the messages. You've got to see what is being said. And you've got to do more than just hear it. You've got to listen. It's got to register. You've got to make a informed decision and direct the conversation, not just participate in it, but direct the conversation. Get the conversation going the way that you want it to go. Are you listening yet? Are you seeing the signs? Are you seeing what's happening? Are you growing with your experiences? Are you learning the lessons that you're supposed to learn? Or are you satisfied with staying where you are and going through the same rigmarole that you've been going through on that same hamster wheel and not going anywhere, just spinning your wheels and not going anywhere. I always talk about elevating your thinking, because when you're around people that are smarter than you, when you're around people that know more than you, your thinking has to elevate. You have to see things differently. It's not saying that where you are isn't acceptable. It's saying that there's a more excellent way of seeing things, and there's a perspective that you might not have considered because you haven't gone through the experiences. And so allow yourself to elevate and to hear and to listen to what's being said around you. Hear the messages. Have you ever been walking down the street and you're not even thinking about it? And I know I use McDonald's a lot, but it's the example that's always in my head. And all of a sudden you decide you want to go to McDonald's. You want a Big Mac. You want some chicken nuggets or the new chicken sandwich, right? You weren't even thinking about it. You were thinking about all the things you had to do today. You were thinking about how you were going to pay your bills. You were thinking about that argument you had with your spouse. You weren't thinking about that, but you're walking down the street and all of a sudden this thought comes into your mind that you're hungry and you want to go to McDonald's. But you just passed a man who was thinking, I'm going to go to McDonald's, or thinking, I'm hungry. I want a hamburger. And by you walking past them, our minds are connected, right? And there's messages coming to us all the time, even nonverbal messages. They're being transmitted between people. And so you can be in the same vicinity of somebody and have a thought that you wouldn't have never had, because you're next to this person who's thinking this, or you're next to this person who's experiencing this. And so we've got to listen to the messages that are coming at us, because those messages are there to lead and guide us and direct us. And it's supposed to take us to that elevated level. It's supposed to take us to that space where we will then be able to achieve purpose and achieve the goals that we need to achieve. Sitting in this place, in this serene place, I can't even tell you the thoughts that I've had that I wouldn't have had today had I not been here in this place. I'm listening to the messages. And I think I might have found my next retreat spot. Y'all, this place is gorgeous. Take a look at it. I posted some pictures and I'm going to post a video later, but this place is gorgeous. Talk about thought provoking. Talk about messages. Talk about listening to what's being said. But on the flip side, one of my favorite singers, Amy Grant, said, you got to know who not to listen to. They're going to hit you from all sides. You better make up your mind who not to listen to. Everyone will have their words to say, but you got to find the words that will help you find your way. Oh, yeah, how are you doing? Yeah. So sometimes everything you hear isn't the right thing. Everything you listen to isn't the right thing, but you've got to know the difference. You got to know that you're elevating, because you're being strategic, you're being intentional, and you're doing it on purpose. You're taking that sip. You're taking that sip of tea, that sip of wine, that sip of cola, that sip of whatever, but you're embracing it. And you're tasting everything there is. I'm gonna leave you with this. Have you ever been somewhere and you ate something and you're trying to figure out the ingredients of it, and you take a bite and you savor it and you roll it around and you're like, okay, I taste some cumin in there, I taste some ginger, and you start trying to figure out how they made this particular dish. Messages. Are you listening yet? Are you listening? Are you willing to elevate, to understand that there might be something that you haven't considered that you need to experience? So when life hits you hard, take that 2 second breath before you respond. And don't react, take action. Because then and only then can you elevate to the next level. So once again, I ask you, are you listening? Your homework assignment was posted on the video that came out all kind of pretty. So there's 2 videos for today. So what you can glean from the other video, glean, and what you glean from this one, glean. But I want you to listen. Listen to what's being said around you. Listen to what's being experienced around you. See. See it in your mind's eye. See it in your heart. And let yourself, give yourself permission to elevate. I am Coach Linda. I want you to have a blessed, wonderful day. I want you to be prosperous. I want you to thrive. I want you to experience life in a way that you never thought you could. Because at the end of the day, it is available to you. And it's waiting on you just to say yes. You be blessed.